She was held captive for 9 months, but how did she survive? In 2013, 14-year-old Abby Hernandez vanished while walking home from school. Police and volunteers searched for months, but there was no trace of her. Then, after 9 months, Abby suddenly returned home. Where had she been? Who kidnapped her? And most importantly, how did she escape? This story is more terrifying than you think. It was Wednesday, the 9th of October, 2013, and Abby Hernandez was a 14-year-old first grader at Kennett Middle School in North Conway, New Hampshire, a town described as small, picturesque, and safe. Abby was raised by her mother, Zenya Hernandez, who was divorced and worked as a nurse while raising 2 daughters, Abby and Sarah. Abby was described as a happy, kind, animal-loving child who was something of a tomboy and enjoyed hiking and skiing. She was a new high school senior, had a boyfriend named Jimmy, and loved listening to classic rock, especially Tom Petty. After school, Abby sometimes took the bus home, but that day she decided to walk, and the new shoes she got for her birthday began to rub and hurt, causing blisters. As she continued on her way, a car stopped her and a man offered her a ride. She thought he seemed like a nice, regular guy from her town, so she accepted. Trying not to tell the man where she lived, she asked him to drop her off at a local restaurant, but he said he needed to stop at Home Depot. As he pulled into the far end of the lot, Abby sensed something was wrong and told him she was close enough to home to walk. As she unbuckled her seatbelt, he dug into his pocket until he pulled out a gun, pointed it at her thigh, and told her that if she tried to scream, he would kill her. That day, Abby did not return home from school, and her family did not know what happened to her. Zenya began to worry when the time Abby usually returned home passed. Her worry increased when her daughter did not answer the phone, and she went to school to look for her. Zenya panicked when the librarian told her she saw Abby leaving school. Abby was a responsible person and would let her mom know where she was when she changed her schedule. Zenya called local hospitals, but Abby was nowhere to be found. Abby's 15th birthday was only 3 days away, and she was anxiously planning the day. Zenya knew Abby couldn't have run away. At 7 p.m. that same evening, she filed a missing person report. Conway police launched a search that included the Attorney General's office and the FBI. Abby's story made headlines in the city. When surveillance footage was reviewed, Abby was seen leaving the school at 2:29 p.m. She walked across the field hockey field, down Eagles Way, and along a power line path near the school, where she was seen between 2:30 and 2:35 p.m. During that time, she exchanged several text messages with her boyfriend, Jimmy, while he was riding the bus home. He told her he loved her, and at 2:53 p.m., she sent her final message, a heart emoji. 14 minutes later, at 3:07 p.m., her phone signal went out about a mile away. Police needed to figure out what had happened in the interim. The FBI said the last known contact between the cell phone and the cellular network was from a tower on the west side of Mount Cranmore. 3 days into the search, it was Abby's birthday, and a candlelight vigil was held instead. Police were convinced someone had seen something, and they were asking the public for any information. The police looked closely at Abby's relationship with Jimmy, as well as her own family. They found that she was a very family-oriented person and very close to her mother. She seemed like a normal teenage girl. As the weeks passed and the first month since Abby's disappearance approached, Zenya became desperate, unable to cope with everyday affairs and not even answering letters. When she finally checked her mail, there were a lot of congratulatory letters, and there was an envelope in the stack that looked like it was from Abby. In it, Abby wrote how much she loved and missed her mother, that she was alive and well, and asked her mother not to lose hope and to stay strong. She also wrote, "I'm sorry I did that." Zenya was both thrilled and confused by the letter. She told her mother that she couldn't tell her where she was. The letter was sent 13 days after Abby's disappearance, and brought hope to the case. The DNA in the letter was confirmed to be Abby's. Investigators weren't sure what to expect from the letter. Was it a message meant to reassure them that she was okay? They wondered if and when they would hear from her again. Investigators also had trouble deciding whether to release the information. It was possible that Abby had sent the letter without her abductor knowing. Eventually, the information was released to the media, and Abby's case remained a missing persons case. After the information was released, public opinion and social media began to speculate that Abby was likely a punk teen who had run away from home. There were rumors at school that Abby had gotten pregnant and run away. The information in the case matched the description of the abduction. Abby had taken no personal belongings or money. She did not know how to drive, and her boyfriend had been ruled out of the case. The case was soon closed, with the holidays and New Year's approaching. The man who offered Abby a ride was 34-year-old Nate Kibbe. When he picked Abby up, his initial friendly demeanor quickly changed. He pulled out a gun and threatened to slit her throat if she tried to run or scream. He took off his baseball cap and placed it on her head, covering her face with the brim, and handcuffed her hands behind her back. From the moment Abby realized in horror that she had been kidnapped, her instinct for self-preservation took over, and she remembered that she had to work with this guy and told him, "I don't blame you for this. If you let me go, I won't tell anyone about this." As Kibbe continued to drive, he noticed Abby trying to peek out from under her hat to see where they were going. That's when she felt a terrible pain in her leg and immediately thought he had shot her. It was a stun gun. He took her cell phone and smashed it while driving on back roads to avoid traffic lights where there might be cameras. He then took her to his home and tied her to a chair with ropes so tight that she was left with scars. He gagged her and taped her eyes shut. He let her watch the news about her disappearance and watched as her mother begged for her safe return during a press conference. Abby cried for the first time. Nate drove Abby just 30 miles north of Conway to his trailer park in Gorham, New Hampshire, and hid her in a red shipping container on his property. When Nate posted a no trespassing sign next to the container, neighbors shrugged it off, thinking he was weird. The shipping container cost Kibbe $3,000 and had several rooms, electricity, heaters, and soundproofing. Neighbors had no idea what was going on inside those four walls. When he left for work in Conway, Abby would remain gagged in the container while heavy metal music played loudly all day. Eventually, Kibbe told Abby he had found something more humane and placed a shock collar around her neck and told her to try to scream. She slowly began to raise her voice, and then the collar shocked her, and Kibbe said, "Now you know what it feels like." He also told her that if she tried to escape and open the container door, the room would catch on fire because of the wires screwed into the door. He made Abby wear a diaper and referred to himself as Master in her presence. He bragged about his gun collection and threatened to kill her family and dogs if she escaped. Nate was born on the 15th of July, 1980, and was often an annoyance to his classmates while in high school. Many considered him aggressive, violent, and called him a loser or weirdo. He worked in a machine shop and was considered a model employee, but there was definitely darkness inside him, and he developed a reputation among local law enforcement. He once got into trouble for grabbing a 16-year-old who was trying to board a school bus. He gave false information when retrieving a gun and was caught with marijuana. He was an unpleasant and argumentative person, a conspiracy theorist, and was known for his frequent anti-government statements. Neighbors knew him as a loner, and some called him Crazy Nate. Debbie Demers, who lived next door to Nate, often warned local girls to stay away from him. He had a love of guns and a wide variety of other weapons. In March 2014, while Abby was in captivity, Nate was arrested and charged with trespassing and assault for an incident with another woman after he followed her home following a minor car accident. She asked him to stop taking pictures of her car, so he shoved her to the ground in her driveway. During his arrest on trespassing and assault charges, police seized the gun he was carrying, which he later called an immoral and irrational unconstitutional abridgment of my civil rights. A condition of his release on bail was that he hand over his gun collection. Police were surprised when the normally confrontational Kibbe proved extremely cooperative and contacted Gorham Police himself. When a patrol car arrived to pick up the guns, Kibbe met the officer at the curb and lined up all of his weapons ready for use. The officer noticed a 40-foot shipping container on his property but did not inspect it, seeing no reason to approach. Little did they know, they were just yards from where Abby was being held. A month later, in April, Kibbe was fired from his job at EMM Precision, where he had worked for 5 years. He had been described as a good employee and was let go due to a decline in business. In July, the assault charges were dropped, but the alleged victim said, "He's not a normal person. He's not himself." Despite the horrific torture, Abby never lost hope while in captivity, saying, "I feel like there's hope even when it feels like you've lost everything. Just hold on to it, and it will help you move on." She said that in all the prayers she continued to say, she never ended them with amen, not wanting God to leave her and just wanting to live. She continued to plot a way to stay alive and never gave up hope of connecting with Kibbe, telling him, "Look, you don't seem like a bad person. Everybody makes mistakes. If you let me go, I won't tell anyone." Over time, Kibbe began to trust her more. She felt that part of the way to gain his trust was to agree with everything he wanted to do. Clinical psychologist Rebecca Bailey later praised Abby for her resourcefulness in such a terrible situation and how wonderful she was. At one point, Kibbe gave Abby books to read to pass the time, gave her a cookbook, saying she needed to know how to cook for a man. As she flipped through the book, she noticed his name was written inside. She asked him, "Who's Nate Kibbe?" He took a breath and said, "How do you know my name?" Abby was also given a ruler with the initials NEC written on it. When Kibbe allowed Abby to write a letter to her family, the first draft was thrown away by Kibbe when he saw that she had written help on the paper. As punishment, he held a stun gun to her legs, which Abby described as the worst pain she had ever experienced. He told her to write, "I'm sorry I did this," so they would believe she had escaped. At the same time, she felt terrible about trusting a stranger and getting into his car. The letter was mailed on the 23rd of October, but it didn't arrive until the 6th of November. While in captivity, Kibbe told Abby that he had been abused during his 42 days in high school. He said he wanted to start making counterfeit money because they owed him. Abby volunteered to help him, willing to agree with whatever he said to make him happy. In July 2014, a woman Kibbe met online, Lauren Monday, contacted him after he gave her 3 $50 bills to pay for a hotel room. When she tried to use one of the bills at a local Walmart, it turned out to be counterfeit. She told him she called the police, gave him his name, and said, "Whatever you're doing in your Fing basement, you better get out of there right now because they're coming for you." On the night of the 20th of July, 2014, Kibbe told Abby he needed to get her off his property because the police were likely to show up. He returned to the clothes she had been wearing the day he kidnapped her, and they got into his car. Wearing his baseball cap, he drove her to a Dairy Queen, and they ate in the parking lot. Abby let go very abruptly. He drove the mile from her house, stopped on a quiet, dark road, and told her to get out of the car with him. When she came out, he demanded that she give him his baseball cap back. She took it off, threw it in the car, slammed the door, and he drove away. He made her promise not to reveal his identity to anyone and made up a false story for her to tell the police. As the car pulled away, Abby recalls looking up and laughing, happy to be free. She was released in North Conway and walked the remaining mile to her mother's house. She described the meeting with her mother as a beautiful moment. Kibbe told Abby that if the police came to his house, he would kill them and then kill her family. At first, she told her mother that she couldn't tell who her kidnapper was, but a week later, she told her mother that his name was Nathaniel Kibbe and that he lived in Gorham, New Hampshire. On the 28th of July, 2014, SWAT entered his home without incident and took him into custody. He was charged with kidnapping and ordered released on $1 million bail. His conviction dates back to 1998, when he was 18 and convicted of assault. On May 26, 2016, Kibbe pleaded guilty to 7 felony counts, including kidnapping and sexual assault, but was not charged with forgery. He was sentenced to 45 to 90 years in prison, and during his sentencing, Abby gave a statement about what he did to her, saying that the 2 years since she was incarcerated have gone by fast and slow, and what he did to her affects her life on a daily basis. She is afraid to say her last name at school because her name is associated with what happened to her. She said that others may see him as a monster, but she sees him as a person and told him that she forgives him. Abby made it clear to him that he put himself in prison, not the other way around. When she had a gun pointed at her and was forced to stay in his house, it was his choice, not hers. She actually thanked him for giving her freedom back. Abby says she has learned to appreciate the new outlook on life that the harrowing experience has given her. Every time I go outside, I try to really appreciate the sunshine and the fresh air. The world is full of mysteries and dangerous events we don't know about. This case once again highlights the importance of caution. What do you think should be done to prevent such situations? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Your support means a lot to me.